October 1905. The monsoon has barely retreated from Calcutta's swollen streets when the decree arrives. Crisp colonial paper, carrying the weight of an empire's indifference. In the pre-dawn stillness of Jorasanko, where jasmine clings to ancient timber and oil lamps throw trembling shadows across shelves of manuscript and verse, Rabindranath Tagore reads Lord Curzon's partition order, a single deliberate stroke of a distant pen, and Bengal, mother, muse, the very marrow of his poetry, is severed in two. The smell of wet earth and wood smoke fills his lungs. Around him, the great house breathes in silence, as if the walls themselves are holding grief. His hands are steady. His eyes are not. Somewhere beneath that stillness, a decision is already forming, quiet, dangerous, and irreversible. The hoolie moves like a secret at dusk, dark, deliberate, carrying everything it knows beneath the surface. A boatman, reed-thin and river-worn, poles through the monsoon mist toward the ghats of Jorasanko, a folded letter pressed against his chest like a wound. The message it carries is scrawled in a dying hand, ink bleeding into damp paper, words dissolving even as they cry out. Somewhere in the delta, an old scholar lies fading, robbed of the only treasure that ever mattered. 60 ball songs, centuries of wandering and longing captured in song, now locked inside a British collector's mahogany cabinet. In Calcutta's suffocating heat, the letter reaches Tagore. He reads it once, then again. The river outside continues its ancient, indifferent flow, but something in the poet has already begun to move against the current. He arrives at the edge of the village as the last monsoon light bleeds into the paddy fields, amber and bruised violet, the color of things ending. The baul singers sit beneath a banyan tree older than the Raj itself, their ektaras trembling with a grief they cannot name. Tagore listens. He has heard music all his life, but not like this. Not this raw, rootless devotion that belongs to no temple, no scripture, no empire. The songs live in cracked voices and calloused hands, in the dust rising from bare feet on ancient earth. Each refrain carries entire generations, their hunger, their love, their stubborn, luminous humanity. He understands now what the manuscript truly holds, not mere words, but the irreplaceable heartbeat of a people being deliberately silenced. And someone, somewhere, knows exactly how dangerous that heartbeat is. She stands at the river's edge like a sentence left unfinished. Kamala, widow of a schoolteacher, draped in the stark white of mourning that the monsoon has rendered translucent. The Padma moves in great, restless coils around her small boat, its dark water carrying the silt of 1,000 upstream sorrows. Tagore watches her from the ghat, this woman who has already paid the price of forbidden words in the currency of a husband's absence. Her hands, calloused from months of rowing alone, betray no fear, only a guarded, weathered dignity. Slowly, without ceremony, she gestures toward the vessel. There is no agreement spoken, no formal compact sealed, only the rain, the river, and the fragile mathematics of shared grief binding two strangers together. What waits for them on the far bank, neither yet dares to name. The parlor smells of beeswax and old empire. Teak furniture imported from Burma, a tiger skin stretched beneath a Chesterfield sofa. Captain Ashworth receives his visitor with the measured courtesy of a man who has never doubted his own civilization. Tagore enters, without deference. Between them, on a mahogany writing desk, the manuscript rests beneath a glass paperweight, pinned like a specimen, like a people. The poet chooses his weapons carefully. Keats, Locke, the Upanishads. Threading argument through argument with the quiet ferocity of monsoon water finding every crack in colonial stone. Ashworth listens, smiling the smile of a man who owns the law. But something shifts behind those pale eyes. A flicker, perhaps of doubt, perhaps of admiration. It will not be enough. Outside, unseen, someone has been watching the house since dawn. The manuscript is gone, but memory cannot be confiscated. Beneath a sky swollen with monsoon clouds, Tagore stands barefoot on the riverbank at Jorasanko, oil lamps trembling in the humid dark. One by one, the villagers gather. Fishermen, weavers, women with jasmine in their hair, children pressed against their mothers, saris. He begins to sing. The old ball melodies rise from somewhere deeper than paper, deeper than ink, shaped by generations of hands that never held a pen. Voices join his, hesitant at first, then thunderous, rolling across the Ganges like the storm itself. Colonial officers sleep in their bungalows, unaware that the songs they tried to silence are now written into 200 beating hearts. What begins this night as an act of grief will, by morning, become something the empire cannot burn. It will become resistance. The river breathes in darkness. Captain Edmund Ashworth stands alone at the stern of the patrol launch, his brass buttons catching nothing of the starless sky. The singing has stopped, but it lives inside him still. Those ancient syllables rising from the village fires like smoke that refuses to dissipate. He is 34 years old, a Devon schoolmaster's son, sent to administer a land he was never taught to understand. He presses a folded letter against his chest, his sister's handwriting from Bristol, asking when he is coming home. In this moment, between duty and doubt, between empire and conscience, something fractures quietly within him. He has heard beauty tonight. He has been ordered to extinguish it. Tomorrow morning, Ashworth must decide which man he truly is, and his answer will place him on a collision course with Tagore himself. The river carries them home in silence. Lantern light bleeds copper across the Padma's surface as Tagore sits with the manuscript pressed against his chest. Its pages swollen with monsoon humidity, its songs still breathing. Kamala watches the western bank dissolve into darkness, her grief a private country no words can enter. Somewhere upstream, Ashworth has made his quiet, anonymous surrender. Not from weakness, but from something rarer, recognition. The manuscript is whole, and yet wholeness feels insufficient against the vastness of what has been broken. Bengals is divided. Villages burn in language. A people learn, for the first time, what it means to be severed from themselves. The oarsman pulls steady strokes through black water. The boat moves forward. But in Calcutta, something is already stirring. Something the British have not yet learned to name. Back in Calcutta, in the amber lamplight of Jorasanko, Tagore bends over handmade paper that smells of river water and grief. The monsoon still hammers the city's terracotta rooftops. Outside, the streets carry the raw wound of partition. Processions, whispered seditions, the distant wail of a conch shell marking protest. But here, in this room, something extraordinary is being born. The ball melodies he gathered on broken riverbanks, the widow's lament, the boatman's defiant song, all of it pours through his pen like floodwater through cracked earth. No colonial cartographer can draw a line through a man's soul. These verses belong to every village, every delta, every unspeakable sorrow. The manuscript may be recovered, but Tagore understands now. The truest words were never written down. Yet someone, somewhere, has learned what he is creating, and they are coming. October 1905. Along the Ghats of Calcutta, where the Hooghly carries both ash and prayer, something extraordinary unfolds. Tagore moves through the crowd, unhurried, deliberate, his white dhoti luminous against the monsoon-gray morning. Marigold garlands hang from wrists. Silk threads, saffron and crimson, pass between Hindu and Muslim hands in a gesture older than any colonial decree. The manuscript is safe. Its songs already spreading like floodwater through the Delta villages, impossible now to contain. The British drew their line on paper. Tagore draws his in music and in thread. Around him, 10,000 voices hum a single melody, a nation rehearsing itself into existence. The air smells of incense, wet earth, and something fiercer, resolve. But even as the threads are tied, in distant London, the machinery of empire is already turning toward its next division.